Smartphones are well and truly omnipresent these days. They've become almost like an additional limb, and for many people, they are essential tools for navigating the modern world, often annoyingly so. While smartphones are useful devices in many ways, I decided that, for me, it was time to stop carrying one all the time. So back in May, I ordered a light phone too, and honestly, it's been absolutely amazing. So in today's video, I want to throw my experiences out into the world right now on the Linux Lounge. So first, I have a little bit of a confession to make. I'm not nearly as hardcore as a lot of people can be when they go smartphone free. For instance, I do still regularly carry a smartphone turned off in my bag, as sometimes it can actually be a legitimately useful device for directions and that sort of thing. Furthermore, I also regularly carry an iPad and some other electronic devices. That said though, I feel that the difference between those devices and a smartphone is that those devices are incredibly easy to put down. They're not constantly in my pocket demanding my attention, which for me is the main reason why I wanted to ditch my smartphone. The primary reason why I want to go smartphone free is that I feel like smartphones are terrible for my mental health. It constantly causes me to be distracted, overwhelmed, and removed from the present moment. I also find that not having a break from constant notifications and stuff causes me a lot of stress. I don't really have any ethical or productivity related reasons for going smartphone free. I just want to look after my mental health. So I guess that creates the question of whether or not going smartphone free has actually improved my mental health. And the answer to that question is a definite yes. It absolutely has. Since deciding not to constantly have a smartphone in my pocket, I feel so much less stressed. I also feel far more present in the moment and more focused. Additionally, I've had interactions with people and various different experiences that I probably would have never had with a smartphone in my pocket. I've also learnt a lot of important life lessons. The main one that comes to mind is the nature of boredom, which is something that I might dedicate a video to in the future. But to explain it briefly now and in the context of going smartphone free, one of the major things that you'll experience when you go smartphone free is boredom, since you don't have a device to constantly pull out and entertain yourself with. But it is actually relatively easy to stop feeling that way. You aren't bored, you just want to be doing something. Understand that it's completely okay to be doing absolutely nothing at all, or doing something other than using your phone, and you will no longer feel bored. I know that that probably sounds like a completely ridiculous idea, and indeed to experience this you do need some amount of mental discipline, and frankly I'm probably not explaining it very well either, but trust me, go smartphone free and you will absolutely see exactly what I mean. That said though, despite how great going smartphone free is, it's sadly not all positive. There are definite drawbacks. The main one for me is that it's really annoying not having access to maps, digital tickets, and other conveniences that smartphones have. These devices are terrible, but they are also highly useful digital Swiss Army knives. Furthermore, the modern world is so built up around the assumption that everyone has a smartphone that in many cases I found that I just wasn't able to do things as a result of not having one. For instance, in a city near me, there's a rental scooter service that I wouldn't have been able to use if I hadn't brought my smartphone with me, turned off in my bag. The fact that owning a smartphone is becoming more of a requirement is a terrible thing because it's highly exclusionary to people who don't want to own one. Going smartphone free will also impact your social life. When you're suddenly not available 24/7, people tend to freak out, and to some extent, it can unfortunately actually strain relationships. But the people who matter will stick around. Trust me. Besides, it's not like people can't contact me. I'm a call or text away pretty much all the time. Furthermore, one of the biggest advantages of going smartphone free is actually that disconnection from people. The human brain just wasn't designed to be socially engaged 24/7, so breaking free of that is really something that's liberating, because I have to say, solitude is incredibly valuable. Besides, to be perfectly honest, if you go smartphone free, you'll probably have better social interactions in person anyway. You'll be able to engage with people without constantly feeling the pull of your phone. This is something that I've greatly benefited from myself, although you will almost certainly become annoyed when other people are on their phones in your presence. I do feel that it's probably worth mentioning that sometimes people do oversell going smartphone free. Now, don't get me wrong, everyone should do it, it's great, but I feel like it's only a very small number of people who actually become hyper productive super people after going smartphone free. Personally, I'm only in it for the mental health benefits. I still sit around playing video games and watching Netflix, and let me tell you, it's the best time I've ever had playing video games and watching Netflix. This is truly the best way to waste time. Though, I think if you want to become hyper productive, you could probably use going smartphone free as a way to achieve that, but it's definitely not something that's going to do it for you on its own. Oh, also, another thing worth talking about is just how nice dumb phones can be. Personally, I got a light phone too. Now, this device is a little pricey, but wow, is it ever nice. It's tiny, but it feels really premium and it has a stunning e-ink display. It can do pretty much everything that I want to with nothing extra. It can do calls and texts, of course, but it also has a music app, podcast app, hotspot feature, and a bunch of other stuff. My only complaints are that the battery life on the device isn't great, and for some unknown reason, it uses micro USB instead of USB-C, which isn't really acceptable in this current year. The phone could also use a few more apps. For instance, a Notes app would add a lot of value for me. Overall though, it's a great device and probably the best phone that I've ever owned, or at least my favourite. In fact, I'll probably make a full review of the Light Phone 2 at some point. Finally, I just want to talk about the future of my smartphone-free life. Primarily, I just kind of want to keep doing what I'm doing since it's working quite well. Ideally though, I'd like to be able to spend even more time away from smart devices. I want to carry a smartphone even less and spend time doing other things. Right now, that means I want to read more on my Kindle. The end goal really is that I want to be able to just not have a smartphone at all, but given the way that the modern world is, I don't really think that's possible. But to be honest, I can't be too mad about that. I've got more or less what I want out of this experience. So then, in conclusion, going smartphone free has been a deeply liberating experience that has undoubtedly changed my life. It's improved my mental health, made me more present in the moment, and has just overall revolutionized my life. So, if you're thinking of going smartphone free yourself, then I'd say absolute go for it. Because to be honest, I recommend it for everyone. But with that said though, I hope that you got some value out of this video. I thank you for watching it and I will see you in the next one.